If you have already watched this introductory information, you can skip ahead no more than 7 minutes. Hello, welcome. I am predicting that singer-songwriter Paul Simon will die on August 1st, 2025. I am predicting that on Saturday night, on August 30th, 2025, a dirty bomb or 2 dirty bombs or a suitcase nuke will explode in New York City, probably in Times Square. And then there will be a large-scale evacuation from Manhattan over the East River into Queens and Brooklyn throughout the night into August 31st, 2025. I am predicting that on September 4th, 2025, a dirty bomb will explode in Penn Station in Manhattan, New York City. It is also predicted that a dirty bomb will explode in Grand Central Station in Manhattan in New York City on this same date, September 4th, 2025. It is also possible that August 30th and 31st will be the date of a prophetic sign that will point to September 4th. In other words, what I have just described is a prediction for both of these dates, August 30th and September 4th, for dirty bombs, but I could be misinterpreting God's signs, and it could be that it will only be on September 4th. I am predicting that Tehran, Iran, will be nuked by the U.S. or possibly Israel on September 7th, 2025. This will obviously be in response to the dirty bombs that are predicted to explode in New York City. I am predicting that Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom will die in a plane crash in St. Louis as they are traveling from Washington, D.C. to Los Angeles in Busch Stadium in St. Louis on August 2nd, 2028. This will be during the predicted presidential campaign of Gavin Newsom. As a result of Gavin Newsom's death, Michelle Obama will become the Democrat Party's presidential nomination. Michelle Obama will, quote unquote, win the election over J.D. Vance on November 7th, 2028, and will become the president on January 20th, 2029. Donald Trump is predicted to run as J.D. Vance's vice president. This scheme to overcome the 22nd Amendment will backfire and inspire Michelle Obama and Barack Obama to run on the ticket with Barack Obama as Michelle Obama's vice president. She will then step down and Barack Obama will become the president again. It is predicted that there will be a massive Mary apparition on the beach in Rio, Brazil on April 24th, 2029. It is now recognized that there will be 2 massive Mary apparitions on the beach in Rio. The first of the 2 is predicted to be on March 22nd, 2029. These predicted Mary apparitions will not be secretive. They will be mainstream, worldwide news. Like all Mary apparitions in history, including at Lourdes, Guadalupe, and Fatima, this Mary apparition will be a demon pretending to be Mary. It is predicted that on April 26th, 2029, the key will open the bottomless pit and fallen angels will cross over into the earthly realm. April 26th, 2029 will be a symbolic beginning to the 5th trumpet judgment that is described in Revelation chapter 9, when the demonic realm collides with the earthly realm. April 26th, 2029 will be a symbolic beginning to demons pretending to be aliens. The demons pretending to be aliens will claim to be here to help us with our nuclear weapons. It is predicted that Pope Francis will be resurrected from the grave on April 26th, 2029, and it is possible that on this day, Pope Francis will announce that aliens have arrived and have made him the ambassador for the world. This will immediately give Pope Francis, the Antichrist, supreme power over governments of the world. April 26th, 2029 will be a symbolic beginning to a zombie pandemic and the masses becoming demonically possessed that will be facilitated through the thing, which is the mark of the Antichrist and 5G frequencies. April 26th, 2029 will be a symbolic beginning to the coming genocide politicide in America. The resurrection rapture event will occur on Pentecost on May 27th, 2029. There will be a catastrophic asteroid hit of Earth in the Indian Ocean. The greatest seismic effect of this will be felt on the other side of the globe, which is North America, and this will trigger an eruption of Yellowstone volcano and will cause the volcano in the Canary Islands to collapse into the Atlantic Ocean and send a mega tsunami towards the East Coast. The asteroid will also trigger a mega landslide on Hawaii Island that will trigger a mega tsunami that will hit the West Coast. It will also trigger the collapse of the Hoover Dam, which will cause a water panic in California, and many other devastating earthquakes. The day of the Lord, the second coming of Lord Jesus Christ, Judgment Day, will be at the end of 2031. The date that this video is posted proves that these predictions are being made ahead of time, as do these time-stamped emails and forensic notes PDF documents. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. All right, welcome. This video is predicting that famous singer-songwriter Paul Simon will die on August 1st, 2025, and this video will explain one of the reasons for how this is known in advance, which includes this prophetic sign from God, which was Trump's visit to Pittsburgh to promote AI on July 15th, 2025. As we can see here, this email was written 44 minutes ago. That's actually quite interesting because of the number 44 involved here. Did you see that? Because as I pointed the cursor at this minutes ago number, which was 43 minutes, it turned 44 right as I pointed to it. And that's personally significant. I'm not going to claim this is a prophetic sign because there's a distinction between personal signs like this and God's prophetic signs, which are for the world to see. Now, the thing is about Pittsburgh is that it is 40 plus 40 miles away from where 44 people died in the plane crash on 9/11. And all of the news stories at the time on 9/11 or after 9/11 often referred to how Pittsburgh, or rather the location of the crash site, was 40 plus 40 miles outside of Pittsburgh. So it's known for this 40 plus 40 miles, and the number of people that died was 44. The crash area, the crash engendered a pit over 40 acres, and that's because the plane crashed at a 40-degree angle. So what's with all of the fours? Well, the reason for the fours is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is the city of bridges, and a bridge is a metaphor that God is using to point to Revelation chapter 9 and the demons that cross over the bridge from the bottomless pit, as in Pittsburgh, as in the pit that the plane created 40 plus 40 miles outside of Pittsburgh. Okay, so that's Revelation 9:11. The demons cross over the bridge. But also as a metaphor for this is a door in God's signs. In Revelation 9, it talks about a key that opens the bottomless pit. And of course, keys open doors. And the fourth letter of the Hebrew alphabet is a symbol for a door. Hebrew letters are also symbols for things. The fourth letter is a symbol for a door. And so that's the reason for all of the fours here. The 40-acre pit that was engendered by the plane that crashed at a 40-degree angle, 40 plus 40 miles outside of Pittsburgh. And again, there were 44 people that died in the plane crash. And anyway, as you saw a minute ago, I pointed to 44 here, and I didn't mean to. So anyway, that's a nice introduction here because that's what's going on here. Well, anyway, this email was composed 51 minutes ago now. And as you can see, the date it was composed was July 15th. Okay, this is before August 1st. That's the reason for going through this. Having said that, it has been known since November of 2024 that Paul Simon would die on August 1st, 2025. I'm just getting around to documenting this now. I could have perhaps done some documentation of that a long time ago, but I've been preoccupied with God's other prophetic signs because it's nonstop. It's like a fire hose of signs these days. There isn't enough time. And anyway, and so I'm going to explain this prophetic sign here. Oh, also, the date that this video is posted proves that this prediction is being made ahead of time. The prophetic sign we will talk about here is Trump's visit to Pittsburgh. Trump is God's trumpet that he uses to trumpet and highlight his prophetic signs. In archaic English, the word trump means trumpet, or the sounding of a trumpet. And so Trump is God's trumpet. And on that note, the Israelites, when they marched around the walls of security of Jericho, in the Bible, they blew trumpets before the walls of security collapsed. In fact, they blew 7 trumpets. And Revelation chapter 8 begins the 7 trumpets of judgment. Paul Simon will die on the date 8-1 because Revelation 8:1 speaks of a sound of silence, a period of silence in heaven, and that's why Paul Simon's first big hit was Sound of Silence. This sound of silence in heaven in Revelation 8:1 is followed by the 7 trumpets. Paul Simon also has a famous hit late in the evening, which is known for its heavy use of trumpets. Speaking of that song, the prophetic last song of his prophetic concert in the park, the reunion concert with Art Garfunkel, was late in the evening. Anyway, Paul Simon's most recent album is 7 Psalms, and so you get the idea here, 7 trumpets. Now, the walls of security of Jericho collapsed after the 7 trumpets were blown. And Trump, his especially first election campaign and presidency, were known for his border wall of security. That's why because it points to the symbolism in the Bible of walls of security collapsing. After Trump left office, the wall of security collapsed, and 20 million illegal aliens poured through the border on purpose, intentionally, done by the U.S. government and the world government. In other words, the UN and NGOs, etc. That was all purposefully done for the purpose of the left and their agenda. And the left is evil. And so what I'm saying is that the invasion that happened after Trump left office was by design, and it was symbolism for the collapse of walls of security of America. Now, Trump's second term is now known for dealing with the invasion. And so, therefore, it is also about the collapsed wall of security. Anyway, the reason why this is relevant to Pittsburgh and Trump's visits to Pittsburgh and Paul Simon is because of the door and bridge symbolism, because the demons that cross over the bridge or through the door to the earthly realm from the bottomless pit will be the result of a wall of security having been collapsed. In other words, there is a wall of security between the demonic realm and the earthly realm, which will collapse. And that's what God is communicating here through the death of Paul Simon and, in this case, Trump's visit to Pittsburgh. Let me explain some more with what I've written. On July 15th, 2025, Trump was in Pittsburgh, the city of bridges. So if you didn't know, the nickname of Pittsburgh is the city of bridges. And God has used this before in prior prophetic signs, this symbolism of it being the city of bridges. Okay, and that's because of the, I think it's the Ohio River and the number of bridges that cross over between the different areas of Pittsburgh. And so Trump was in Pittsburgh, the city of bridges, to tout $92 billion dollars in a package for energy and tech investments, including AI investment in specifically Pittsburgh. That's because AI will be a part of this demonic invasion. Speaking of illegal aliens and the invasion, demons will pretend to be aliens. That's the symbolism in the illegal alien invasion. It's because of the demons invading after the wall of security collapses and pretending to be aliens. Okay? And AI will be a part of this and will be a part of the coming, or rather, I shouldn't say coming future tense, it's already here and most people have already taken it, but I'm speaking about the mark of the Antichrist. They'll be more involved with the mark of the Antichrist, however, with the coming AI. All right, so the reason why 92 billion is because it hints at 9 plus 1 plus 1. If God were to symbolize 9/11 using only two numbers, it would be 92 or 29. Okay, because the 2 hints at the 1 plus 1. And this hints at Revelation 9:11, which is the verse that symbolizes when the demons will cross over the door or the bridge from the bottomless pit into the earthly realm. And so that's why Trump was in Pittsburgh touting 92 billion, which hints at Revelation 9:11 and the bottomless pit. Right? Now, to confirm his signs and connections, God pairs 23 and 44 together. The 44th president was the basketball president that wore jersey number 23. And this is how God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections works, which is only being explained on this channel. It works on the principle of second and third and multiple witnesses confirming a matter, as the Bible says is required. And this is what makes what is being explained on this channel true and not a product of one's imagination and different and unique than everything else on the internet that claims to be an analysis of God's prophetic signs. And if we think about it, one simple way in which he would provide a second witness for us is through pairing certain numbers together, such as 23 and 44. And I know that these are the numbers because I have been studying his big picture of signs, patterns, and connections from morning until night for more than full-time hours for more than 7 years. Okay, now Pittsburgh was, or is, 40 plus 40 miles from the plane that crashed and killed 44, as in the door being the fourth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, 44 people on 9/11, which hints at Revelation 9/11, and the door, right? That's why 44 people died 40 plus 40 miles outside of Pittsburgh on 9/11. Because way back at that time, God was symbolizing, communicating Revelation 9:11 and the door that will be opened to the bottomless pit. And again, the 44 people died in the pit that was 40 acres, or is 40 acres now, because the plane crashed at a 40-degree angle as well. Okay. Now, July 15th, 2025, the day Trumpet was in Pittsburgh, is 2 months and 3 days, which hints at 23, before it is predicted that Paul Simon, Bridge Over Troubled Water, because his biggest hit was Bridge Over Troubled Water, we're talking about this connection of 2 months and 3 days from this sign in the city of bridges. Okay, Paul Simon will die on August 1st. Also, again, Paul Simon is symbolism for bridge, which is the same symbolism as a door, which is symbolic of the number 4, or rather 4 symbolizes that. And the number 4 is all about Pittsburgh, as I've now explained like twice. So that's why from Pittsburgh, we have a 44 just in the fact that it's Pittsburgh, and then this 23 with 2 months and 3 days. Okay? Now, 2 months and 3 days is also 17 days. The planes that struck the towers on 9/11, which hints at Revelation 9/11 and this sign we are talking about in Pittsburgh, they hit the Twin Towers 17 minutes apart. So 17 is a big 9/11 number. Now, 17 is the 7th prime number. This is how God's signs works. The 17 hints at the number 7. Simon's most recent album, which is prophetic because, as he says, he was inspired to create the album and give it its name because of instructions he was given in a prophetic dream. Anyway, the new album is called 7 Psalms. And so from this Pittsburgh sign that connects to the date of Simon's death, we have the number 7 because of the 7th prime number of days, to the predicted death of Paul Simon, whose most recent album is 7 Psalms, but also, and also he'll die on the 8/1 because of Revelation 8:1, which is followed by the 7 trumpets of God's judgment. Okay, 17 is also 8 plus 9. The inverse of 89 is 0.01123. 1123 is the 188th prime number, which is the number God uses frequently in his signs because H188 in Strong's Hebrew Concordance is the Hebrew word for woe, ! Used in the Bible in the context of extreme judgment from God. 188 hints at the date 8/1. But also, we were talking about this connection that points to 9/11, and 9/11, 2001 was exactly 188 years after the only other time in history a foreign enemy attacked the nation's capital, when the British landed at Washington's Mount Vernon estate and then proceeded to burn down the Capitol building and White House before being chased out of Washington by a hurricane, but not before Dolly Madison famously rescued the portrait of Washington. By the way, that was 9/11 in 1813. Exactly 188 years before 9/11, 2001, when the plane struck the Pentagon in Washington, the only other time a foreign enemy has struck the nation's capital. Now, 92 billion hints at 9 plus 2 equals 11. 2 months and 3 days after 92 billion, which hints at 11, gives us, or hints at, again, this number, 1,123. 17 days is also 408 hours. The name of the 44th, as in 44 deaths on 9/11, 40 plus 40 miles outside of Pittsburgh, as in the door, bridge, the 4th letter being the symbol for door in the Hebrew alphabet. Okay, Barack Obama, the name Barack Obama is equal to 408 in English gematria. What I'm trying to say is that God revealed the identity of the Antichrist on 9/11, right? Because the 44th president is the Antichrist. And this is more confirmation of it. Because from this 9/11 sign we are talking about, which is this Pittsburgh trumpet sign, we have 408 hours, okay, to the date of Simon's predicted death. Simon, again, is symbolic of bridge, and that's why the connection to the city of bridges. So that's profound. More confirmation that God revealed the identity of the Antichrist on 9/11 through the 44 deaths outside of Pittsburgh, the bottomless pit, from which, by the way, in Revelation 9:11, Abaddon, the leader, the king of the demons, Satan, arises from the bottomless pit. Satan's representative will be the Antichrist, Barack Obama, the 44th president. All right, now, the impact of the plane on 9/11 that killed 44 people, 40 plus 40 miles outside of Pittsburgh, created a large pit over 40 acres because the plane also crashed at a 40-degree angle. The bottomless pit in Revelation is symbolized by Revelation 9:11. King Abaddon and his fallen angels will cross over the bridge, which is also the same symbol as a door, which is symbolized by the number 4, from the bottomless pit. This is the reason for this prophetic sign involving 92, as I have explained already, because of it being symbolic of Revelation 9:11, 2 equals 1 plus 1, $1 billion in Pittsburgh, the city of bridges. Bridge equals door equals 4, from trumpets 92 billion, as in Revelation 9:11, in the city of bridges, that is 40 plus 40 miles from where 44 people died in the pit on 9/11, it is the 4th super prime number of days to the predicted death of Simon, whose biggest hit was bridge over troubled water. Bridge is the same symbol as door, which is symbolized by 4, and Simon is also known for the trumpets. His song, okay, this late in the evening. And okay, so what I'm saying is that 17 is the 7th prime number. Okay, I already explained how this connection between this sign in Pittsburgh, the city of bridges, and the death of Simon, who is known for a bridge over troubled water, is 17 days, and how 17 is the 7th prime number, but 7 is the 4th prime number, which makes 17 the 4th super prime number, and God uses super prime numbers in his signs. That is amazing beyond words, because now we have a clear 4 connection. We have the 4th super prime number of days from this bridge sign in Pittsburgh with trumpet, because trumpet is about the walls of security, which is the same symbolism as the bridge, the collapse of the wall of security between the demonic realm and the earthly realm, from which the demons will cross over the bridge or enter through the door after the key opens the door. And by the way, in music, a key is important, the music key in the composition of music. And Simon is not only known for his singing, but also for composing his songs, including Sound of Silence and Bridge Over Troubled Water. Simon has also said in interviews that there were a few songs that he didn't actually write. As he puts it, I don't remember exactly what he said, but to paraphrase, he was a conduit. The songs just flowed through him. And those are 2 of the songs, Sound of Silence and Bridge Over Troubled Water. Okay. So you got that, right? Pittsburgh's all about this 4 symbolism because of the door, and we are talking about Simon being symbolic of the door and the bridge. That's why it's the 4th super prime number of days between this Pittsburgh 4 sign and Simon's death, predicted death. Now, on July 15th, 2025, Paul Simon. So where is Paul Simon in all of this? Well, at this time of this sign, Paul Simon had performed 1 concert in Los Angeles, which God is using to symbolize fallen angels, as in the demons that rise from the bottomless pit. In his Quiet Celebration Tour, the name of the tour that he's on is Quiet Celebration, which is a clear hint at the Sound of Silence that is mentioned in Revelation 8:1, which is why, again, Simon will die, is predicted to die on the date 8:1. Now, so on this day of this sign in Pittsburgh, Simon had already had 1 concert with 4 concerts remaining in Los Angeles. beginning the following day on July 16th. So in other words, July 15th was in between two of Paul Simon's concerts in Los Angeles, as in Fallen Angels, and he has 4 remaining concerts in Los Angeles. And the 4 symbolizes the door through which the fallen angels will emerge. It's amazing, which is in Revelation 9, which is part of the 7 trumpets that begin after Revelation 8:1, which is why Paul Simon will die on 8:1. The plane that killed 44 people, 40 plus 40 miles outside of Pittsburgh, and created a pit 40 acres, hit the ground at a 40-degree angle. So I'm just writing this here because it was just learned. I just realized this for the first time, amazingly, because I didn't read that before. And I had already mentioned it in this video, but anyway, this was the point in which I recognized it, so that's why it's written right here. And again, the sign in the city of Bridges is the 4th super prime number of days before the predicted death of Simon, whose biggest hit was Bridge Over Troubled Water. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Aliens and UFOs are demons masquerading as aliens and UFOs. Most people's spiritual experiences are demonic deception, especially if they are not a true follower of Christ. In the last days, many people who claim to be a follower of Christ will have spiritual experiences that are in reality demonic. God became a man and died a horrible death at the hand of the ruler of this world, Satan, and then defeated death for you, so that you too can overcome death, which is the price that must be paid for sin. It is time to repent, which means to change one's ways and turn to God and become a disciple of Jesus. Do not listen to or follow the example of most quote-unquote Christians. Instead, follow the teachings of Jesus, which most quote-unquote Christians ignore. Like Jesus, you must surrender your life. Put nothing ahead of Jesus, your Lord. Like Jesus, you must lay down your life so that you may live. As Jesus said, one must die first, like a kernel of wheat going into the ground, in order to then grow and produce fruit. And like Jesus said, one must produce fruit, or else like a branch or a tree not producing fruit, they will be thrown into the fire. Jesus was speaking to quote-unquote Christians when he said this. One must die the self in order to be born again. And like Jesus said, one must be born again to enter the kingdom. Like Jesus, you must sacrifice your life for the sake of the coming kingdom. It means to do work that involves some form of sacrifice and risk. To have faith does not mean to intellectually agree. You need to demonstrate your faith through taking action. To have faith means to trust in God's promises. Taking action demonstrates trust and fear of the Lord. The primary reason that the wrath of God is coming upon America is quote-unquote Christians that do not get what I have just explained. The only reason a Christian is alive is in order to help other people become Christians and make it to the kingdom. Do not be deceived by those on the political left claiming to be quote-unquote Christians. There is no such thing as a Christian on today's political progressive left. Jesus said, "Do not think I have come to abolish or change any bit of the law or the prophets of the Old Testament Bible." In other words, the God of the Old Testament Bible is the exact same God of the New Testament Bible. It is essential that you learn about the God of the Bible and his ways. The God of the Old Testament Bible is looking to see who will fear him, and to fear God is not the same thing as quote-unquote revering or honoring God. Through Christ's ransom payment, a Christian is someone who has been redeemed and freed from slavery to sin and Satan. In response, a true Christian recognizes that their life in this world does not belong to them, and they become a willing slave to Jesus for the sake of the kingdom. Please leave a like and upvote the video, and once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more, don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. And don't only put the link to this video or another video on this channel in comments sections of places you typically visit, but importantly, put the link to the video in places you never visit, where people who don't think like you visit. If you are a quote-unquote Christian, nothing in terms of an evangelism tool compares to this video with its prediction. It is a massive bag of gold. Beware of Jesus' warning through the quote-unquote Christian that did nothing with his bag of gold and was banished to hell. Also, read Ezekiel chapter 3 and 33 for this same warning. If you think you might be spending too much time watching videos instead of working and sacrificing for the kingdom through handing out flyers and potentially helping hundreds of people in the same length of time as a video, my flyer is filled with amazing information that people need to know right now, and it points people to the video channel. Now is not the time to be handing out typical evangelical tracts that are largely based in error anyway, such as, quote, Jesus loves you, unquote, for example. You can hand out the flyer on busy street corners, put them on car windshields in busy parking lots, and put them in mailboxes. Just send the file to your local print shop. You can download the file from the website. Please leave a like and upvote the video, and once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more, don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. It is essential that everyone immediately read the homepage of my website, asteroidprediction.com. If you are watching this on the YouTube platform, please note that not all of the videos are on YouTube. You need to switch to the Odyssey.com or Rumble.com channel, and do it now in case you aren't able to later.